Take us with you. We can't resist. 3 alien women charm a lonely human. The distress signal. The cockpit of the Wanderer's Hope hummed with the monotonous rhythm of deep space travel. Malik Ashford stretched in his pilot's seat, his coffee long gone cold in the cup holder. 3 months of hauling medical supplies between colonies had left him exhausted and achingly lonely. The vast emptiness between stars seemed to mirror the emptiness in his chest. The distress beacon pierced through his thoughts like a knife through silk. Malik's fingers flew across the console, triangulating the source. Alio 7, an abandoned mining station that should have been dark for 5 years. His instincts screamed danger, but protocol demanded response. Besides, who was he to ignore someone's cry for help when he knew too well what it meant to feel alone? The docking procedure took 20 minutes. Malik secured his sidearm, a precaution he hoped was unnecessary, and cycled through the airlock. The station's interior lights flickered weakly, casting dancing shadows across corroded walls. "Hello." His voice echoed down empty corridors. "Please, we need help." The voice was soft, feminine, desperate. Malik followed the sound to what had once been the station's observation deck. 3 figures emerged from the shadows, and his breath caught. They were breathtaking, each in her own way, their features unmistakably not human but hauntingly beautiful. Their skin held an iridescent quality, like moonlight on water. The tallest stepped forward, her posture radiating confidence despite her tattered clothing. "I'm Naira. These are my companions, Kessa and Zephine. Our escape pod crashed here weeks ago. Our world. Meridian. There's nothing left." Kessa, with gentle eyes that seemed to hold centuries of compassion, moved closer. "We've been surviving on emergency rations. When we detected your ship, we couldn't let you pass," Zephine finished, her voice like velvet darkness. Her gaze locked onto Malik's with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. "Take us with you. Please. We can't resist asking, even though we have no right." Malik's mind raced. 3 strangers. 3 beautiful, mysterious strangers. Every rational part of him screamed caution, but something deeper, something he'd buried under years of solitary travel, stirred to life. "My ship has limited resources," he said slowly. Naira's expression softened. "We don't need much. Just a chance." Departure into the unknown. The Wanderer's Hope felt different with passengers. Malik had grown accustomed to silence, but now laughter and conversation filled the corridors. He'd given the women the spare crew quarters, keeping his captain's cabin to himself, a boundary he told himself was necessary, even as he found excuses to linger in the common area. Naira proved invaluable, her knowledge of stellar cartography surpassing his own. She stood beside him at the navigation console, her shoulder occasionally brushing his. "Your route is inefficient," she said with a teasing smile. "Let me show you a better path." "I've been flying this route for 3 years," Malik protested, though without real conviction. "And I've been studying star maps since before you were born." Her hand covered his on the controls, guiding his fingers across the display. The touch sent electricity through his skin. "See. 17 hours saved." In the galley, Kessa transformed their bland rations into something approaching art. She hummed while she worked, a melody that seemed to ease the tension Malik carried in his shoulders. When she offered him a taste, her fingers lingered near his lips. "You carry so much weight," she said softly. "I can see it in your eyes. How long since someone took care of you?" Malik couldn't answer. The kindness in her touch unraveled something inside him. Zephine was the enigma. She appeared in unexpected places, the observation deck at midnight, the cargo bay during his inventory checks. She spoke little but watched everything, her dark eyes seeming to pierce through his carefully constructed walls. "You're afraid," she said one evening, materializing beside him as he stared at the stars. "Of what?" "Of wanting something. Of not being alone anymore." Zephine moved closer, her presence warm against the cool recycled air. "We frighten you because we make you feel." "I don't know you," Malik whispered. "Then learn." She took his hand, placed it over her heart. He felt the steady rhythm, different from human but unmistakably alive, unmistakably real. We have time. The days blurred together. Naira's confidence challenged him to be braver. Kessa's gentleness reminded him what tenderness felt like. Zephine's intensity awakened desires he'd forgotten existed. 3 women, 3 different connections, weaving together into something that both terrified and exhilarated him. But questions nagged. Why had they really been on that station? What weren't they telling him? The cosmic storm. The ion storm hit without warning, its electromagnetic fury shredding their planned trajectory. Alarms screamed through the ship as Malik fought the controls, Naira beside him calling out shield readings while Kessa secured loose equipment and Zephine activated emergency protocols with surprising expertise. There. Naira pointed at the scanner. That moon, it has atmosphere, minimal radiation. We'll burn up in entry. Malik shouted over the chaos. Not if I adjust the heat shields. Zephine was already running toward engineering. Trust me. He did. Somehow, he did. The landing was brutal. The ship skidded across rocky terrain before settling in a shallow crater. Emergency systems immediately began assessment, hull integrity compromised, main engines offline, repairs needed before they could leave atmosphere. The storm will last at least 48 hours, Naira announced, her usual confidence shaken. We're stuck here. They gathered what supplies they could and located an emergency bunker built into the crater wall, a remnant from some long-abandoned survey mission. The space was cramped, designed for 2 people at most. 4 bodies created an intimacy that could no longer be avoided. As night fell on the alien moon, temperature dropped sharply. The bunker's heating struggled. They huddled together for warmth, pretense finally crumbling. I need to tell you something, Naira said, her voice small in the darkness. We weren't escaping disaster. Malik tensed. What? Kessa's hand found his in the dark. Our world is fine. We were searching. For what? Zephine's breath warmed his neck as she spoke from behind him. For someone who could see us. Really see us. Not our beauty or our difference, but our hearts. On Meridian, bonds are arranged by genetics, by compatibility algorithms, Naira continued. But we wanted choice. We wanted to feel what our ancestors felt, that wild, irrational pull toward another soul. When we saw you on the station feeds, alone but still answering our call. Kessa's voice broke. You risked yourself for strangers. That kindness, that loneliness that matched our own, we couldn't resist reaching for you. Malik should have felt betrayed. Instead, he felt understood truth and revelation. Morning light filtered through the bunker's narrow window, painting everything in shades of amber and gold. Malik hadn't slept. He'd spent the night acutely aware of every breath, every heartbeat of the 3 women pressed against him in the cold darkness. Now, in the gentle dawn, he could see their faces, vulnerable, hopeful, afraid. You lied to me, he said quietly. Naira sat up, her eyes glistening. Yes. We did. And I won't insult you with excuses. She reached for his hand, hesitated, then let hers fall. If you want us gone when the storm passes, we'll understand. Gone where? Malik asked. Back to your arranged lives. Back to algorithms that tell you who to love. It's not love with them, Kessa whispered. It's partnership. Logical. Safe. Empty. Zephine moved to the bunker's entrance, staring out at the storm still raging across the moon's surface. My culture believes emotions are inefficient. That choosing based on feeling rather than data is primitive. She turned back, her eyes fierce. But I felt more in 1 week with you than in 30 years of logical compatibility. Malik stood, pacing the small space. His whole life had been about control, controlling his route, his schedule, his heart. After his family died, after his marriage crumbled under the weight of grief, he'd chosen the emptiness of space because it couldn't hurt him. But these 3 women, with their deception and their desperation and their undeniable pull on his soul, they'd slipped past every defense. On Earth, we have an old saying, he began. The heart wants what it wants. We spent centuries trying to rationalize love, reduce it to chemistry and psychology. But it never worked. Love is irrational. It's choosing someone even when it makes no sense. He looked at each of them in turn. Naira, whose boldness masked deep insecurity. Kessa, whose nurturing nature came from knowing profound loss. Zephine, whose mystery was really just fear of being truly known. You came looking for choice, Malik continued. For the freedom to feel something real. I've been running from exactly that for 5 years. And now? Naira asked, barely breathing. Malik crossed to where Zephine stood, cupped her face in his hands, and kissed her softly. She gasped against his lips, her fingers clutching his shirt. When he pulled back, her eyes were wide with wonder. He turned to Kessa, who met him halfway, her kiss gentle and sweet, tasting of hope and healing. Her tears wet his cheeks, or perhaps they were his own. Finally, Naira. She grabbed his collar and pulled him close, her kiss fierce and claiming. When they broke apart, she laughed, a sound of pure joy. I don't understand how this works, Malik admitted, his forehead resting against Naira's. 3 hearts, 4 souls. My culture doesn't have a template for this. Neither does ours, Kessa said, wrapping her arms around him from behind. That's why it's choice. That's why it's real. Zephine joined the embrace, completing their circle. We write our own template. Outside, the storm began to fade. Inside, something new was being born. A new constellation. 3 months later, the Wanderer's Hope touched down on Frontier Station Kepler 22, a wild settlement on the edge of charted space. Malik had sold his cargo contracts, cashed in favors, and purchased a parcel of land on the nearby planet, a world so new it didn't even have an official name yet. Home, Kessa breathed, staring at the rolling emerald hills through the viewport. Our home, Naira corrected, her hand finding Malik's. They'd spent the journey planning. Naira would establish a navigation consultancy. Frontier pilots needed good star maps. Kessa wanted to open a medical clinic. These outer worlds were desperate for healers. Zephine had discovered a talent for engineering, already designing improvements to their new homestead. And Malik? For the first time in years, he wasn't just surviving. He was living. Their first night in the small dwelling they'd assembled, they sat together on the porch, watching twin moons rise over unfamiliar constellations. Malik held Kessa close on his right, Naira nestled against his left shoulder, while Zephine sat before him, leaning back against his chest. Do you ever regret it? Zephine asked. Leaving your old life. Malik pressed a kiss to her hair. I regret the years I wasted being afraid. But regret finding you? Never. The colony administrator asked about our relationship today, Naira said with a smirk. Didn't know what box to check on the residency forms. What did you tell him? Malik asked. That love doesn't fit in boxes. She tilted her face up for a kiss, which he gladly gave. That we're writing our own story. Kessa turned in his arms, her expression serious. My people will come looking eventually. When they discover what we've done, choosing you, choosing this, there will be consequences. Let them come, Zephine said fiercely. We'll face them together. Together, Malik echoed. 4 hearts, 1 constellation. As the night deepened, they moved inside, to the bedroom they shared, where walls dissolved and souls intertwined. Their love was tender and fierce, gentle and wild, for becoming one in ways that transcended physical touch. In whispered words and soft caresses, in laughter and sighs, they celebrated the choice they'd made, the beautiful, impossible, perfect choice to love without boundaries. Under alien stars, they proved that the greatest adventures aren't found in the vastness of space, but in the courage to open your heart. That home isn't a place, but the souls who choose to stay. That love, real love, is always a rebellion against fear, and always, always worth it. Lessons of love. True love is not found in perfection, but in the courage to choose imperfection and call it beautiful. The heart that dares to embrace unconventional love discovers freedoms that conventional wisdom can never comprehend. Home is not where you were born, but where your soul finally stops wandering and starts belonging. The greatest romance is not written in the stars, but in the brave choice to love fully, fearlessly, and without boundaries.